Okay, so we're going to quickly take a look at what a type alias is in Swift and why you may want to create one. So, in a very simplistic way, a type alias is essentially in the name. It enables you to take one of the built-in types, let's say string for example, and put an alias to it, but they can get more complicated than that. But let's also start by looking at why you may want to use one. Let's say that you create a variable called my name, right? And you say it's going to be of type string, or Swift knows the type inferences that it's going to be a string, and then later on you might assign a string to that, right? So you'd say my name, equals Peter, right? And then let's just go ahead and complete this and print out my name. All right, so let's go ahead and run this. And you can see that it's going to print out Peter. But let's say, you've got a whole bunch of code going on, and eventually, you may start to lose track of my name, and you may forget that it's a string, something like that. So you might do something like, let's just say Peter, for example. Well, now, obviously, you've got a problem, right? Because that's not a string. So, unsurprisingly, it's going to tell you here, hey, that is not a string. So let's now change this and use a type alias. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say a type alias, and I'm going to create here one. Let's call it person name, and I'm going to say it's of type string. Okay, so it may look looks very similar to a declaration of a variable, something like that. But now we've created this type. Person name is now a type, and it's a type of string. Okay. So what I would do now is I could go in here and I could say, my name is of type person name. Okay. In fact, since it's a type, it really should be a capital P, right? So person name, my name is of type person name, and its value is Peter. Now, when I print it out, so let's just correct the error there. I forgot to put that in there. So var my name, right, of type person name equals Peter in a string. So when I print it out, the results are going to be the same. But now I'm not saying, Swift is not going to see my name here as a type of string. It's going to see it as a type of person name, which is a type of string. Now, admittedly, this is a very simple example. And to be fair, you could look at it and go, well, why would I bother? Well, later on when you use my name, when you inspect it or something like that, you're going to see, oh, it's this type person name, and it'll help to remind you. But let's do something a little more complicated, because what you could do is you could do something like this. So I'm going to create a new type alias, and I'm going to say car, okay? And it's going to be, this time I'm going to use a tuple or a tuple, depending on how you look at it, right? So this time I'm going to say it's a string and an int. So the string is going to be the name of the car, and the int will be the age of the car, right? And to make that even clearer, let's just call them, right, car name, car age. So now we've got this tuple going on here with these two values. Now, of course, normally you could create a variable and you could assign it this way, but now you've got to remember what it is, and it gets complicated. But now I've got this one that's a car. So anytime I use a type of car, it's always going to follow this pattern. So I cannot get it wrong. So I could say, like, let my car of type car equal, and then I'm just going to call my car Betsy, and I'm going to give it an age of, let's say 5 years, right? So now when I print my car, because it knows what the type is, this car type alias here is a tuple with this, I can just go in here and say, okay, print the car name, right? And now if I run it, it's going to print Betsy, okay? So hopefully this is starting to sort of make sense for you here, right? I've created this new type alias, car, with a tuple with these two parts in it here, right? These two values. And those have got a name as well. And then later on, my car, right? I cannot get this wrong. So if I do like something, it's not going to work, right? Because it's going to complain and say, hang on a minute, I can't convert this string to, a tuple of type string string, I expect a car to be string and integer, right? And so, you can see it here. It's going to say, look, hey, it should be a string and an integer. So it's going to help me to remember, my own code and what I'm setting up here, right? So that's how that works. So that's really what a type alias is. And you can make these as complicated as you want or as simple as you want, but it's a way of creating your own type based on some other type or types. Hope this has been helpful. Play around with it. It's actually very useful once you start to use them. That's it. If you're looking for more Swift stuff, go to compileswift.com and I will see you there.